I awoke to an unfamiliar, metallic scent, bitter and sharp, and a strange lightness around my neck that made my stomach clench. Looking into the mirror, I couldn't deny what I saw. My once healthy, waist-length chestnut hair was hacked into uneven clumps. At first, I thought I'd been robbed, assaulted in my own bed. But then I noticed the scissors resting neatly on my dresser, craft scissors like the ones my mother used for trimming receipts. Next to them, a sticky note stared back at me. "You'll still look fine. Focus on your speech for Hannah's big day." Mom, please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments, where are you watching from? I stood frozen, strands of hair still on my pillow, as if a part of me had been erased overnight. That wedding was supposed to be my moment, to stand before friends and family who'd ignored me for years, to wear the navy silk dress I bought with my own money, and to speak with confidence. Instead, I looked like I'd lost a bet. When I walked into the kitchen, my father barely glanced up from his cereal. "Oh, good. You're awake," he said casually. "Less hair makes your face less distracting anyway. The focus isn't supposed to be on you." My mother sipped her coffee and added, "It's Hannah's wedding. Let her shine." They acted as if I was some threat to the sun, as if my mere presence had ruined the celebration. Let me clarify something. I was the daughter they managed, not the one they celebrated. Hannah received designer dresses and violin lessons. I got hand-me-downs and Be Grateful lectures. Hannah took a trip to Paris for graduation. I worked weekends saving for college. I moved out at 19, working 2 jobs, still RSVPing yes to her wedding, hoping maybe, just maybe, it would be a family moment without competition. But instead, they drugged me with NyQuil and soothing tea and cut my hair while I slept. My own parents. When I called Becca, my roommate, her panic was palpable. She gasped when she saw me. "They did this on purpose," she demanded. I nodded. Becca hesitated for a moment, then pulled out her phone. "Okay, we're not going to the wedding like this. We're going to do something better." At first, I just wanted to distance myself. Revenge wasn't my goal. But Becca helped me record a voice memo, something I'd made weeks ago out of habit, to track moments I wanted to share with my therapist. My mom dismissing me as a distraction when I posted a photo, my dad saying pretty girls ruin weddings with jealousy. I used to think they were just rude jabs. Listening again, with Becca, I saw a darker pattern. Then she said, "There's a way to make them listen." That night, I made a decision. I'd show up to the wedding, but not as they expected. I wouldn't wear the dress they sneered at. I wouldn't give a toast they scripted for me. I'd take their script and shred it. That night, I couldn't sleep. Becca helped even out my hacked hair into a sleek, edgy bob. "You look like someone about to expose a family," she whispered as she styled the last strand. By morning, I had a plan. I arrived early at the sprawling vineyard estate, the picturesque scene they'd chosen, of course. This wedding was built on my parents' savings, my mother's false smiles, and my father's quiet pride in their real daughter. But I was determined not to be a side character anymore. I rehearsed the speech I was supposed to give, a sentimental, Hallmark-style toast about sisterhood and forever bonds. Instead, I walked up to the microphone during the brunch, when the mood was warm and smug, and declared, "Hi, everyone. I know I'm not the favorite daughter. That's never been a secret. But today, I want to say something different." The room fell silent. My mother's smile flickered. "What are you doing?" she asked nervously. "I want to talk about what happens behind the family portraits," I said, voice steady. "About the times they say they love you but cut you down to keep you from outshining someone else. About being drugged with tea so you sleep through sabotage. About parents treating your existence as a threat to their real child." Gasps rippled through the crowd. An uncle dropped his fork. My father rose to his feet, voice sharp. "Enough!" But I pressed on. "You don't get to rewrite who I am anymore. You don't get to trim me down or pretend this didn't happen." I pulled out my phone and played the recording. Her voice, cold and clear. "She'll look better than Hannah. We'll fix that." Then my dad's laugh, chilling. "We'll cut her while she sleeps. Girls like her need reminders." The silence that followed was deafening. Guests looked at each other, some in horror. I finished, voice unwavering. "You taught me shame. Now I'm teaching you the consequences." Security escorted me out as my parents erupted into loud, angry shouts. My sister was in tears, not because of me, but because she knew this chaos would ruin her photos. But it wasn't over. Within 24 hours, the video of what had happened went viral. Becca uploaded the full clip with the caption, "This is what happens when you weaponize family." It exploded online, millions of views, celebrities reposted it, TikTokers lip-synced to it. Strangers sent me messages like, "Thank you for saying what I never could." The most surreal part, a week later, I received an email from a wedding magazine editor. She wrote, "Your story isn't just brave, it's something we want to feature. How would you feel about a photo shoot and an article titled 'The Uninvited Sister Who Stole the Show'?" I said yes without hesitation. The photo shoot became everything my parents had tried to steal from me. Elegant, powerful, unapologetically authentic. They did my makeup, styled my new haircut, and dressed me in shimmering gowns louder than shame itself. That moment marked the beginning of a new chapter in my life. 3 months passed. My family hadn't reached out, not to apologize, not to explain. But I didn't need them to. The world had already turned its gaze on them. My video became a cultural phenomenon. Talk shows debated it. Bloggers dissected every word. Themes like pretty privilege, sister rivalry, and emotional abuse masked as tradition flooded the conversations. I was now the face of every daughter silenced in favor of a shinier sibling. But fame wasn't my goal. Freedom was, and I was determined to make sure no other girl would ever be silenced again. It all started with an email from Cynthia Ray, CEO of a high-end fashion brand that specialized in transforming damaged reputations through truth. Her own daughter had been through a similar ordeal. She offered me a job, not just as a model, but as the creative director for a campaign called You Can't Cut Power. Photo shoots, press tours, TEDx talks, they all became part of my new purpose. I turned my pain into purpose. Meanwhile, back home, the fallout was predictable. The suburban neighborhood grew cold. Wedding guests who once cheered for Hannah now avoided eye contact at the grocery store. The priest who officiated her wedding told his congregation that she should have been the one asking for forgiveness, not validation. Even Greg, Hannah's new husband, who had stayed silent during the haircutting scandal, left 6 weeks after the wedding, discovered to have read her anonymous online comments attacking me. She wasn't just complicit, she was obsessed. Now she was alone. Honestly, I wished I could say that made me feel better. But the truth was, I didn't care anymore. I was too busy building something they could never tarnish. The real revenge arrived when Cynthia offered me a chance to lead. She proposed opening a creative office in my hometown. "Want to run it?" she asked. I laughed in disbelief. "You're serious?" She nodded. Imagine a space where I was the one people wanted to impress. So I did it. We opened a sleek, sunlit office right downtown, on the very street my parents had once dragged me past to my sister's piano recitals. This time, it bore a bold decal. Power cannot be cut. At launch, we hosted an open house. Local press showed up. Activists, survivors, even some of my old classmates, those who'd once mocked my quietness, asked for internships. But the highlight, my parents arrived uninvited. My mother wore oversized sunglasses. My father, aged in the months since, looked uncomfortable, perhaps guilty, perhaps exposed, maybe just losing control. They didn't recognize the woman standing at the front, poised, powerful, ready for her moment. They tried to act as if nothing had happened. "We're proud of you," my mother said softly. I smiled. "That's funny. You haven't been proud of me since I had braces." My father chuckled awkwardly. "We all make mistakes," he said. "Families heal, right?" I stepped toward the front desk. "Would you like to leave a comment card?" I asked, voice steady. "We take feedback seriously here." They blinked, speechless. Otherwise, I continued. "I have a room full of people I actually respect waiting to hear me speak." As I turned away, I saw them standing outside the glass doors, out of place, uncomfortable in the very space they once thought I was unworthy of. I didn't need to shout or shame them. The success, the space, the people, the purpose, was louder than any insult. But as they stepped out, I called after them. "Next time you try to cut down a daughter to lift another, just remember, scissors dull, but some girls sharpen." They never came back. And I didn't need them to. Because I finally understood, they didn't define my beauty, my power, or my worth. Not with scissors, not with silence, Not ever again.